when we think about what consumers, what people are looking for from brands and from businesses, it is that social element. It's the opportunity to really make a connection, have a conversation, and that's kind of what it has at its roots, if you will.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ellinger, and today I'm super excited. Genevieve, I feel like I've known you for like 2 years now. Classic digital relationship here where I've never seen you in person, but man, have we had a lot of phone calls over Zoom. Genevieve
Yeah.
Coulson from Goldfish Swim School, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. I was trying to think the other day when we initially connected and just how long it's been.
Yeah,
And yeah, safe to say, losing track of time left and right these days, but I think it has been a solid 2 years. So yeah,
we've both gone through life changes. We both bought houses in those 2 years. Like, I mean, it's a whole
right?
thing.
It really, really is. Yeah. And now here we are together.
And
So
here
I'm
we sit
thrilled.
today. We're living the dream. And for those who may not have a 2 year relationship with you, Genevieve, who are you, and how the heck did you get where you are today?
Yeah, so I would say the high level summary, so to speak, is that I have been in social media marketing my entire career. At this
Mm.
point, I'm just starting to put that at a decade plus.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
right,
never
we're
older than
gonna,
21, right? Forever
of
21,
course
decade
not.
plus. It is
Of
what it
course
is.
not. Yes, yeah, it's amazing how that works. And so, yeah, decade plus social media marketing, have seen so many evolutions with it. And we connected in my current role, which
Yeah.
is the director of social media marketing for Goldfish Swim School franchising.
Yeah, I love this question. You've been in it now. What was the first social platform you were using professionally for a brand?
Oh, I feel like it was a very strong. I'm going back to my first professional role,
Uh,
micro coffee roaster. I feel like it was a very strong mix of the oh so classic Facebook, Instagram, as well as Pinterest.
Pinterest. Pinterest is still strong. I think it's still there.
Pinterest is having I'm such a fan. I'm sure we'll chat about it some more, but
Yeah.
I am team Pinterest and I feel like they are actually really doing some exciting things these days. So, yeah, they're
I
still in it.
I totally agree. I love that. And maybe diving into our conversation, I think as we've talked about social media a lot, one of the things we talk about a lot is, keeping it authentic, putting the social back into social media. And I think as AI has evolved, that's become more and more prevalent. And so I'm curious, as you're working, with the national brand, as you're working with the franchisees of Goldfish, what do you do to kind of bring that to life and make sure everybody, thinks that way, acts that way, feels that way?
Yeah, so I think I'll preface it because I know I really do stand by and believe in that statement.
Yeah.
I know there are those people that are probably audibly groaning just hearing that, right? It's like,
Sure.
oh, not again.
Yeah.
But I really do think that there's a lot of merit to
Mm,
that. And one of the things that I think we see so often these
mhm.
days is when we look at things from a consumer perspective.
Yep.
So obviously we're operating, as brands, as businesses, but when we think about what consumers, what people are looking for
Mhm.
from brands and from businesses, it is that social element. It's the
Yep.
opportunity to really make a connection, have a
Yep.
conversation, and that's kind of what it has at its roots, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I think that, when we talk about the why behind a lot of things, the benefits of an organic strategy,
Yep.
you have to have that social connecting two-way piece. We
Yeah.
always talk about how if you're treating your social strategy as a brand or business as a one-way street in terms of
Yep.
it's just an opportunity for potential customers to connect with you,
Mhm. Mhm.
you'll miss the mark every time. It
Yep.
has to be able to go both ways.
Yep.
And at this point, depends on your demographic, right? But it's like we are in a time and a place where people get social media. They know how it
Yep.
works. They
Yep.
know the role that it's played and continues to play in marketing, right? Like
Yep.
nobody wants to be treated like a commodity. Nobody
Right.
wants to be treated like a number or a bottom line. And
Yep.
so that social aspect of social media for the conversations, the connections that make that part possible,
Yeah.
I think is wildly important.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I love like so you're the director of social media for Goldfish. You guys have a couple hundred locations around the U.S. Like, I'm curious how you balance then, brand consistency and saying like, hey, we have these pillars we're standing by, and then what I would describe what you're saying there is kind of the je ne sais quoi, right? It's like the social of social is that I'm just a person and I just happen to be showing you my life and what I'm doing today, right? And obviously it's curated and all of that, but it's kind of this balance between those two. uh, you
Yeah.
know how do you push that?
Yeah, I love a strong je ne sais quoi moment,
Yep.
and followed up very much by a sort of like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but
Those are I have those
uh,
moments every day. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm just a girl. I just, it's just
honest,
girl math in it.
honestly, my day is made at this point. I feel like we could just call the podcast a success. So I love it.
Good, good. I'm glad.
But I will say that the balance,
Mm,
that is something that is so important when we look at it from a strategy perspective in a
yep.
franchise, particularly because you do want to have that consistency.
Yep.
You want to have that brand messaging. There
Yep.
are things for us in particular as a swim school, there are things from a curriculum standpoint. It's really important that we, have that consistent and cohesive brand messaging and
Hmm.
language used across the system.
Yep.
Uh, but at the same time, and we talk about this when we think about, so for our purposes, we have the individual schools,
Yep.
and so we have our big umbrella of the brand, and we need to have that brand messaging and that consistency. But the
Yeah.
schools, at the end of the day, they're small, local, independently owned and
They're a small
operated
business. Yeah.
businesses. They're a
Yep.
small business.
Yep.
So the stuff that more often than not is really going to move the needle or have the kind of create the platform, the setting, if you will, for some of those connections and conversations to be had,
Hmm.
it's through the local lens.
Yeah.
So we also explain that that is something that we absolutely encourage, we
Yep.
really support, and it is so important. But we are very, very big on resources at
Yep.
Goldfish. So we also like to do that within a structured setting, if you
Yeah,
will.
that's an understatement. Your guys' marketing guides are sick. They are 10 out of 10 material. You guys really know what you're doing there. If anybody is listening and wants to see a great example of it, I'm sure Genevieve would be happy to talk you through it because it is impressive, I would say.
Thank you. It's something that, it's a priority for us. We
Yeah,
are a very hands-on franchise, admittedly, but we have an incredible system. I mean, our
yeah,
franchisees, our owners, our general managers, our internal team, I mean, everybody really works together and really plays a role in that
yeah,
overall success. And we just recognize the fact that if we are asking our franchisees to execute something,
yeah,
understanding that they also have a million things on their plate in
yeah.
addition to social media,
Oh, yeah.
the best way to go about that is to make sure that we are providing training and resources and best practices and guides and all that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think, harkening back to kind of how you were talking through it, where it's like there is this local lens. I use that same language all the time. I say there's what you want to say, and then there's the brand lens and the local lens. And you basically have to take what you want to say and push it through both of those things. And if
Yeah.
you do so, you kind of win because it feels trustworthy because it's coming from my neighbor. But then it's also like on brand so that when the customer does go look us up, it matches what they're seeing on the website and it makes perfect sense to
Exactly.
what we're trying to do. So I love using that framing and kind of building off of that. I think giving them the resources and all that great stuff to get them pushing their own material, obviously awesome. What do you really push for that local activation? Because I think that's something we work with a lot of brands to solve for. I think that's something people struggle with a lot, where they'll have A players that love social, they're ex marketers themselves, now they're franchisees and they kill it, and then you'll have like the ex finance manager at a Fortune 500 who could really care less. So like, how do you
Yeah.
go about kind of preaching that message and getting that activation at the local level?
Yeah, so this is my first time working with a franchise,
Yeah.
and it is so nuanced.
Oh
And
yeah.
I feel like at this point, I mean, I'm creeping on my 4-year mark with them, and I still feel like I'm learning new little bits and pieces
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, it's an
And
interesting dynamic. Like it's a weird relationship. It's really unique.
It is very
Yeah.
unique. And,
Yeah.
part of that is the variety within the system itself.
Hmm.
So, exactly like you were saying, you have ex marketers and you have people that are ex finance. Like
Yeah.
we really run the gamut in terms of interest and knowledge. And
Hmm.
so I think what we've found is that we kind of going back to the trainings and the resources, as much as we can,
Hmm.
we tailor those so that right now, one thing that we're really looking at is okay, we know that we have to have certain things that are just a 101 base level. We
Sure.
need to have that 101 training and information so that if it is a person who has never done social media for business before,
Yep.
they're going to be able to take these steps and implement them or
Yeah.
train their team to implement them for them.
Yep.
But then we know that we do have those people that are the ex marketers and they're hungry for more. And they say, they're like, great, we've got our bases covered. Give me more. I
Yeah.
want to take it
Yeah.
to the next
They're
level.
like, what about the 15 TikToks I want to post tomorrow? How do we do
Exactly. They're like,
that?
what are you talking about? Like, I'm done with these basics. I've got
Yeah.
this. I'm cranking out 6 reels a week. I'm like, great, love this. Love this for you. Love this for us. That's where we say, okay, now we clearly need to create and implement something that's going to satisfy that
Yeah.
hunger. And
Yeah.
let's put together something that's more of a 201 training.
Love
And
that.
so, there's kind of that training component of it. And then I think the other piece, quite honestly, it sounds so simple, but it's so important, is to always tie things back to the why.
Yeah.
Anytime we ask franchisees to do something,
Yeah.
part of our job is to help connect the dots and
Yep.
explain why it's worth their time and effort, which is so
100%.
incredibly valuable.
Yep.
And so, having that why piece, and I think also this is so true for so many things, but approaching it with, even if it is something that I am desperate for you to do, it's it's still important that I acknowledge and I understand that this is not the only thing they have on their
A
plate,
100%. Yeah.
because they certainly don't. And if I come at them with almost this air of expectation that all you
Yeah.
have to do is social media,
You might get an FU back, you
it's
might.
game over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, have you seen a pump room? Do you know what goes on in there?
Yeah.
Right. So it's, yeah, we have to have that awareness and, appreciation for the time and effort going into things.
Yeah, I think a perspective I've come to develop on it is you are kind of an internal salesperson. Like you have to sell to them why they should give their time to this because there's 10 other of your counterparts in the organization that are also trying to sell them on where they need to spend their time and how to do it. And I think to your point, being data driven and having the why in literally every message you're sending out is
Yep.
so key.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I think something we've worked on is like exposing each other's content and learnings to each other. And so I'm curious, like you guys, like I said, genuinely saying this 10 out of 10, that some of the best resources I've seen built at the national level. I'm curious how you then really push them to learn from each other. Like, hey, your peers, like there's going to be a certain level of learning that you can learn from the other owner over here that I can never teach you as, the director of social media. Do you guys have franchise groups that you put people into? Do you have veterans pair with novices? Like, what's y'all's like internal learning mechanism?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we are, I will say, we're a chatty system.
Sure.
So it takes next to no prompting for franchisees to connect and communicate with one another.
That's
And
good though. That
so
feels healthy.
it is. It's,
Yeah.
it helps. We also just have Goldfish is a really unique system in the sense that we also really have such a high presence of family and friends that
Oh,
are in
interesting.
the ownership group, quite
Yeah.
honestly, and
Yeah.
multi-unit owners. So that does provide, quite honestly, it's a pretty impressive. I get it, I'm biased, but it really is a pretty like impressive and strong
I'll
network.
vouch. I'll vouch. Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I swear it's not just me. So they really do talk amongst themselves. And in addition to that though, we have things in place
Mhm.
like, I mean, it's Thursday, so we had it today. Every single Thursday, we have a Thursday call. We have a
Yeah.
company call.
Yeah.
It goes out to the entire system. Everybody joins it.
That's
We
awesome.
have an annual school leadership summit,
Mm.
and that's something where it's Owners are, absolutely welcome to come, but we tend to have more of the general managers, the assistant
Oh,
general
people in the
managers.
weeds every day.
Exactly. And that conference is much more of that, exactly as you said. It's not just us talking to them, it's
Yeah.
them talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, you guys are
We
providing a
configured
forum,
it.
right?
It's workshop style.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, that is something that, again, we recognize the fact that we really do have some incredibly strong franchisees within the system, and we
Yeah.
want to give them the platform and give them the spotlight to also have those voices be heard. We have monthly, we call them brain trust meetings.
Yeah.
We have this with a few different kind of groups within the franchise. So I
Mm.
think it's done not just in the marketing
Yeah.
side, but for marketing, that's, yeah, we refer to as brain trust. We
Yep.
connect monthly with a group of franchisees. We bounce things off of them. We get their feedback. We get their, kind of, do you like this? Would you use this? Would
Sure.
you, blow this up and do it totally differently? And so, yeah, we really, their feedback and them communicating with one another is something that is a really valuable resource.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that, and I think transitioning out of this conversation into maybe this balance of paid and organic, because I think both are misunderstood in a lot of ways, and I would also argue that people don't realize how much they play off of each other.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't necessarily want to run ads out of a Facebook page that hasn't had a post in 3 years. That's gonna be
Right.
a negative signal. And so I'm curious, in like an ever increasing competitive ad market, how do you balance that conversation with your franchisees?
Yeah, so that is one that I will say is it's so common, and it's,
Hmm.
of course it is, right? I mean, it would be
Yeah.
hard or surprising for it not to be.
Yep.
I will say I really feel like my roots, if you will, my career roots
Hmm.
are in organic. So
Yeah.
I have such a love for it.
Yeah.
But what we talk about a lot within our system is that understanding of why you really need to have both,
Yeah.
and why not only you need to have both, but when you have both, they can strengthen one another. And they can
Hmm.
really, ideally, if you are thinking of a truly cohesive, successful social media strategy, you have to have both an organic and paid presence. And ideally, you construct them so that they work in tandem.
Yeah.
And helping to have that conversation, again, kind of going back to the why and the connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And one of the big things I think that we've been talking about lately is ads are amazing for so many things, especially when we think about a customer funnel, customer
Oh yeah.
journey.
Attribution
But
way easier, all that good stuff.
of
Yeah.
course, I mean, we're knocking on the door of November, which is enough to make my heart stop. And holiday season is, fully here.
Yeah.
People are like tossing out the pumpkins and putting out the trees, if that's your
Hmm.
thing. But it's even kind of going back to the start of our conversation. You can't, with an ad, you can hook someone, you can
Yep.
get their attention, you can push them down a funnel. You're not necessarily going to be able to make that connection or
Yep.
have that conversation.
Yep.
And these days, a lot of people, we're seeing the rise of social search,
Hmm.
AI search, all that. It's not just enough for a person to be hooked. Sometimes they want to
Yep.
go and have a little bit of that deeper dive,
Oh yeah.
and that's where the organic stuff is going to come into play.
I To me it's all trust. It's trust and narrative. Like your organic channel allows you to build trust with a customer and to tell the story that you want the customer to hear. And I think it allows you to do it over time. And like posts are different than a reel that may or a short that's going to disappear. Like I think it gives you the ability to tell like a really dynamic narrative. Whereas an ad, in my opinion, to your point, is like I'm trying to move you from one part of a funnel to the other. It's never going to take you all the way through. It's going to take you from one spot to another spot very intentionally, but I have to own the narrative outside of that.
Completely. And I think to your point about trust, like I think at one point in time, and there are different camps, but trust and loyalty in the marketing space might
Yep.
have been seen as those almost like a nice to have, maybe even a little bit fluffy, kind of in the way
Yeah.
of thinking of like, oh, brand awareness, trust and
I think
loyalty.
we destroyed that as millennials. Like the millennials are the ones who killed that. We're like, actually, I want you to feel real and I want you to align with my
False,
values, or all the way you get
right?
none of my money, you know?
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
so now, and that's the other part. If it's like, great, an ad, you've got my attention, but with your organic, with
Yeah.
you replying to my comments, with you reposting my story, with you answering my customer service question in the DMs,
Yeah.
now you have my trust, now you have my loyalty, and because
Yeah.
of that, you'll have my dollars because that's how I want to spend my money is
Yeah.
with the brand that kind of makes me feel like we like I have an in with them, And
Oh
as
yeah.
silly as
Oh
it
yeah.
might be, that's how so many of us operate these days.
Hey, hear me out. If you get a DM from a real brand, you're like, oh wow, there's a person
Oh,
there. I will never go anywhere else. I love
absolutely
this
not.
place. You know, like it is.
Biggest fangirl ever. I will capture content for you all day
Yeah, you're like
long.
UGC for free. I'm gonna go
Literally,
take
I
it. I'm
will
gonna post
shout
it.
it
I'll
from the
tag you.
rooftops. Yeah, I mean, I have no less than three brands that immediately come to mind that have done exactly that.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm on both sides. I use it
Hmm.
personally. I certainly use it professionally, but
Yeah.
that is absolutely the experience. They are the ones where, especially if there was a competitor brand
Oh yeah.
that maybe kind of ghosted me, all of a sudden I'm
We've got
like,
problems. We've got
you're
problems.
done. You're
Yeah.
absolutely done.
I
Never again.
And I mean, on this point, what I think about a lot as well is the downside to not using your socials to tell your narrative and to build trust is that it becomes a customer service channel. And people will only use you to DM you about problems. And
Yes.
it's like, that is very corrosive, in my opinion, to a brand. And so it's like
Yeah.
building that narrative turns it into more of a, oh, this is like a brand I follow, not I'm going to this page because I want to complain about it because I haven't heard about them or anything and had a bad experience in the last year.
Yeah. And also too, and I mean, we know at this point that social media and customer service, for better for worse, I know it's not everyone's favorite thing, but they go hand in hand. And
Absolutely, it's a
so
it's a front door, right?
completely at this
Yeah.
point, in the same way that people are turning to social for search, they're turning to social for customer service.
Yep.
But if that's all it is, if you have, first of all, if you have real people on the other side of that, they're
Yeah.
going to be just absolutely dragging.
Yeah. Just
And
customer
then
service in general doesn't have a high NPS score. It just is what it is.
it really doesn't. But that's why too, it's like you if you have more of that local lens, if you have
Yeah.
more of that narrative, that trust, that loyalty, naturally you'll almost start to weave in some of those customer service
Hmm.
elements, but they feel more organic, they
Yeah.
feel more positive, and it's kind of that, win-win for everyone because
Yeah.
yeah, nobody wants it to just be a negative customer service
Oh, no.
page.
Yeah, no, not at all. Um, Ironically, I would imagine Facebook's DMs are that. The amount of times I've DM'd Facebook trying to get customer support is crazy. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, oof, yeah.
I'm curious, as somebody who's been on the socials, I would guess daily for 10 years at this point, for the better or worse. How have things been changing in your opinion? Like, have you seen platforms fall out of favor with your customer audience? Have you seen, you bring up Pinterest doing some really great things? What have been the biggest shifts for you in maybe the last year or two?
Yeah, I would say that one thing that we have seen, I would say steadily gaining traction.
Mm,
So maybe it wasn't a night and day difference from, the last year or two,
yeah.
but the rise of user generated content,
Yep.
but with that, the rise of the small creator,
Mm,
not just for small brands,
yep.
but for big brands as well.
100%.
And I think that personally, I love that, and I think that that's really exciting
Yep.
because as a consumer, yes, we all get it. I mean, I was just on an influencer, kind of watching an influencer webinar the other day. There is very much so still a time and a place
Oh yeah.
for the macro, the celebrity influencer. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least occasionally, it influenced by that as well. But for me, I really do feel more often than not when something is coming from that smaller, that nano handful of a few
Yeah.
thousand followers, it does feel so much more authentic and
Yep.
therefore so much more intriguing and impactful. And so I love the rise of the UGC kind of coming into the play from a larger perspective. And again, it's not a secret. It's really not a surprise when we think
Yep.
about things like the power of social search and the power of social proof and that narrative, the trust
Yep.
and loyalty, you know, everything we're talking
Yep.
about. But for me, seeing small creators
Hmm.
really starting to get more of that spotlight and that recognition is something that I really, really enjoy. And
Yeah.
also the desire and the shift toward community, I think is
Yeah.
something that is really interesting. And I, again, personally kind of love getting to see it come to the forefront a bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think whilst influencers are obviously, people know what they are, they know they're being influenced, they know that.
Yeah,
I think within the context lens of franchising, they're hyper underutilized. And the reason I say that is I would guess for you guys, your customer radius for a store is probably 15 to 25 miles or something around that store. Like people are probably willing to drive 30, 45 minutes to a lesson. Which to me is like if you could get a nano influencer who lives in a 20-mile radius, their 3,000 connections, probably 80% of them live in that 25-mile
exactly.
radius. Like it is just so much more real and pertinent, and they can go create the content at the location. It's not like they're just holding up, like a Coke Zero
Yeah.
influencer, like it's not just like a product placement. It's like real. It's like they're in the community and they're choosing to go there. Even they may have, maybe there's two other swim schools in the city, but this influencer chose this one. They're in my mom group or they're in my friend group. Like it just is so much more impactful. And I think
Yeah.
that's the real opportunity in franchising right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's something that we talk about quite a bit within
Mm-hmm.
our own system with our own brand,
Yep.
and it's for that exact reason. I will
Mm-hmm.
say too, when you are tied to a location and you're service based and you're not product based, again, there are going to be some different hurdles.
Yep.
Maybe, it's that kind of like, is it an obstacle, is it an opportunity conversation?
Every
And
challenge is an opportunity, Genevieve.
they,
We
right?
look at glass half full around here.
Very much so. Always.
It's a
Yes.
Friday Eve. It's a baby Friday or whatever they
It's
keep
a
calling it.
Friday Eve.
We're
Yeah, a
right
Friday
there.
Junior.
Friday
Friday
Junior.
Junior. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. We're
Thursday,
just
guys. While we're recording this, it's Thursday, just for clarity.
for context. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
forgot.
because
They're like, Paul.
this will go out on a Friday, so
Oh,
it's
they're like, Paul, it's Monday.
yeah.
What's
They're like,
going
what's going on here,
on?
man? It's times are
No,
hard.
just to clarify. Yeah. But I think that is something that we discuss quite a bit
Mm,
from the brand and the local level, because we also have to recognize that there are so many opportunities for
yeah.
that exact scenario that you just laid out.
Hmm.
But what about the scenario of someone would absolutely love to have a creator in the facility, but they just don't have someone.
Yeah.
They're in a location where their market isn't finding that type of creator.
Yep.
And so then, for myself, at the brand level and kind of that strategic level, we have to go, okay, we can't just let this be a, God, sorry, that's a real bummer for
Sucks for
you,
you.
You're like, man, that's just not going to go
Oh
over well.
man. Yep.
So instead, yeah, it's like, okay, what are some other things that
Yep.
either we can think about from a local level or I can put into place at a brand level that is
Hmm.
going to allow the entire system
To benefit.
to get the benefits of
Yep.
that influencer marketing.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. Um, and shifting a little bit, I think
Yeah,
influence marketing is a big topic, has been for the last 15 years, going to continue to be so.
absolutely.
AI obviously is a topic I'm very passionate about and biased by. I like to think I have a nuanced opinion on it. I genuinely don't believe in fully automated, fully AI generated media for especially for local marketing. I like to think of us as workflow people. I'm curious how you've seen the influence of AI, and maybe from two perspectives. I would love to know your thoughts. Just one, generally, how do you think it's
Yeah.
going to impact social media, and then two, how your franchisees have been experiencing it, because I think that's been one of the things we've been noticing is that you've got a couple hundred people around the U.S. They're hearing the news too. They're getting on ChatGPT. They're like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And so I'm curious, your thoughts on the trend, but then also how you guys have been handling, what I would assume is a deluge of inquiry
Yes.
around it.
Yes, absolutely. I will say, kind of taking that, the first part of the question or the first question, and again, we just earlier stated we are very much so glass half full kind of people. So I view the conversation in that light. And by
Yeah,
that, I mean that I don't I don't see it as the type of thing where it's just going to wipe everybody out and it's going
yeah,
to replace every single, role and
yeah,
responsibility. But I'm also not going to sit there and say like, "Oh, it's not going to change a thing," because
yeah.
that would be ridiculous. So
Hmm.
for me, it's so much more a conversation of how is this going to change things? How is
Yep,
this going to shift the roles and responsibilities and the day to day? And
yep,
so that's what I have been experiencing more. And quite honestly, it is something I use on a daily
yep,
basis.
yep,
Um, we've obviously had the ability to experience a beta test with you guys, which was outstanding. And so playing around with it and essentially figuring out what are the ways that we can really work with this and make
yeah,
it work for us so
yeah,
that it is more of that. I mean, it's the classic narrative of like, how do you work smarter?
yeah,
And that I think is one of the things that particularly with social media we are seeing so much of.
yeah,
I i know that for social media and like thinking about our franchisees, every brand and business is different, and so
yeah,
how they use it, how they approach it is going to be different as well.
yeah,
I am like you, I'm not of the camp that just says it can do everything, therefore we're
yeah.
going to let
You
it
got
do
to know your
everything.
audience. Like,
Yeah,
I think if you have a product you're selling right now and you're paying for product photography and not using AI generated backgrounds and drops, you're losing money. But I would argue, Goldfish, where it's like, hey, this is in my community. I've seen the store. I know 10 people that go there. Very different game.
very different. And so, instead of it saying like, okay, I'm just going to have it, I'm going to do completely automated responses for every single
Yep.
thing. Everything is going to be a bot. Everything is going to
Hmm.
be AI generated. I'm like, whoa, no, please, please, let's not, please don't do that. Let's not do
Yeah.
that. But how, can we lean into it to understand how to better optimize
Sure.
content, how to, better craft responses, where are identifying, gaps and things that we can have implemented so that we are thinking about things of
Yeah.
how are we populating an AI search and all that. So again,
Yeah.
it's more of that. It's just like, just because it can do it doesn't mean it should.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is, it's also one of those where it's you have to be evolving, and this
Mm.
is such an immense emerging technology that
Yeah.
if we weren't sitting here at at the brand level, at the strategic level, and saying
Yeah.
how do we learn more about this
Yeah.
and
You
how
would
do
be
we learn how to
disservicing.
make it completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I genuinely, I'm obviously very clearly biased, but like to me what gets exciting about AI, I think the first 2 years of any new technology are a hype wave, right? Same thing with crypto technology, all that
Yeah.
good stuff. There's a lot of BS out there. I think what's starting to emerge is actually like workflow technology, where it's like the people building the AI now understand their customer use cases so much more significantly that it becomes more useful. Like it's no longer just
Yes.
like a cool widget to make a song. It's like, oh no, this does some of my workflow for me, like that's, and I think that's the stage we're at. That's what's exciting in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff that from that workflow perspective, like letting it do a heavy lift on creating an initial outline for something
Sure.
or doing, all of that stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
could you sit there and do it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's an instance where if it's going to crank something out in literally 15 seconds or less,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then that's going to allow me to take back whatever amount of time I would have spent and
Oh
use
yeah.
it for things that are so much more high level and
Oh
still
yeah.
need to have that true human touch,
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah,
all for
it's
it.
been our ads platform. We just launched some features in the last couple of months, and it's been cool seeing like Like we had one user who they were spending 30 hours a month building ad campaigns, and the reason was is because they've got 105 locations. They have to rebuild it for every single one. And I'm like, I'm about to change your life right now. Would you like 29 hours and 45 minutes of your life back every month? And they're like, yes, I would. And I was like,
Oh my
I'm sure
God.
you
Yeah.
would. Anyway, I love that stuff because that's in my mind that's what technology is for. It's not to complicate life. It's to like make my life more human. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Wrapping our conversation a little bit, thinking into 2026, because again, I've said this maybe thrice now. You guys just build great resources. You guys do the thing as a company. What are you guys focused on for for 2026? Like, what has to be a successful thing for you to feel good about next year?
Yeah, let's first applaud the use of thrice because that always needs to
I
be.
my company is named Flamel after a Harry Potter character, Genevieve. I read too much. My SAT word vocabulary is peak. Like I can do it all.
You would have been such a fan of last week's Thursday call. But I digress. I will keep us on track. I promise. Yeah, love that. I will say for 2026, we are in the thick of that right
Yeah.
now, as everyone is, I would
Yep.
say. But for us, one of the things that we are, from a marketing standpoint, we are really taking a strong look at is, I would say, the shifting landscape
Mm-hmm.
between really what is public relations and social media. And
Yeah.
so it's this, when you look at it, it's kind of got this Venn diagram sweet spot that tends to land with partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that is something that is just very top of mind right now, looking
Yeah.
at the ways that we as a brand can really bring this into the strategy
Mm.
and make it something that is enticing and engaging, and also is a way to really strengthen and deepen those connections with the
Sure.
community and with the members. Because
Yeah.
when you look at partnerships, the ones that are most successful, the ones that really get people excited, it's something that is kind of giving back in both ways. And
100%. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
that's
Mutually
where.
beneficial.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that is very, very much so on the radar. We are looking at platforms, a little bit of a shift there, bringing Pinterest back into the fold, very much so. I mean,
Wrap it back up. Bring it back.
we love it. We love it. And then for us, one of the things that is, I think, a strength in terms of how we operate is that we really do have this essentially almost like an internal marketing agency structure. And
Yeah.
so within that, that is encompassing all of the various parts. So
Mm.
digital, PR, social media, local marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and really working together to make sure that, yes, we need to be strong in each one of these individual areas, but
Yeah.
also how do we continue to evolve in each one of these, but then collectively too. And
Yeah.
so looking at those individual strategies as part of that larger cohesive marketing strategy of really like, okay, we've done some amazing things, this year.
Yeah.
How do we build on that?
Yeah. It's always got to go up and right. Every chart always has to go up and right. That's just the game we play.
It is indeed. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Would love to jump into a next section we always do. Basically, quick hitters, Rorschach test style. First thing that comes to your mind. How does that sound to you, Genevieve?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a deep psychological investigation, is what it is. No, I'm maybe starting off, and I think we've kind of answered this. Ironically, favorite platform and why. And so, if it is Pinterest, why is it your currently favorite platform?
I will say I'm an aesthetics girly, so I there's always going to be a soft spot for Instagram in my
Yeah,
heart, but really, you said it. It is Pinterest.
yeah,
And I my personal reason for why it is one of my favorites was, interestingly enough, actually part of the recent New York Times article that I
yeah.
was reading. And it's really because, like, it is the social media platform that I always feel good about. It
Interesting.
is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're never
as
like over
someone.
inundated. You're never like, oh, there's too much like news on this. Like you're never comparing yourself to everybody like you are on Instagram. That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and for especially now, and I mean, I've used it in different ways at
Uh-huh.
various stages of my life.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, honestly, it's really practical,
Yep.
and it's like my cozy soft spot. Like it makes me feel good. I
Yeah.
leave that platform feeling good, and I don't take that for granted in the social media space.
Yeah, vibes are meaningful, right? You got to have the right vibes.
Vibes are
Um,
meaningful.
Now I've got to ask. You said, you're an Instagram girl because you're an aesthetic girl. What's your aesthetic? Like, what's our vibe? What do we define ourselves as?
So I fall pretty. I mean, we all like a little variance, a little nuance
Yeah,
from
yeah,
time
yeah.
to
Like, what's
time.
the, what's
But
the feed? Like, what's the For You
yeah,
page showing?
yeah, I'm a pretty well. Right now, we are thick into soup season, so we have a lot of
Yes,
recipes going on. A
yes.
lot of roasted butternut squash. Okay,
There's so
it's
much butternut and spaghetti squash on my feed right now. It's crazy.
we're really thick into an autumnal recipe kind of a situation in the For You page, but from the personal aesthetic page, I am in that clean girl,
I knew it was gonna be clean girl
minimal,
aesthetic. I
like
absolutely
90s
knew
J.
it.
Crew. It
Yeah,
is,
I mean, you've
I
got
am
the
who I
sweater on
am.
right now. I was like, this is absolutely
I'm
that.
representing, right? Yeah. I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
you're paying
self
credence.
awareness.
Shout out
Yeah.
clean girl aesthetic. Okay, I had to ask. You brought up that you're an aesthetic person. Love the autumnal phase. Little autumnal recipe phase.
Have to. Yeah.
What marketing trend do you think is currently overhyped? And I always like to preface this question by saying AI to my face is an okay answer. It's people get scared. They're like, "Can I?" They're like, "Can I?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. It doesn't affect me what you think about it."
Oh man, overhyped. I mean, ugh, this is a tricky one. I will say, oof. I feel I feel like sometimes the idea, and this I'm like, maybe kind of low hanging fruit, but we there is so much conversation around the trending content and
Oh
the
yeah,
viral content. I think every person who works in social media at this point is like, please don't say
Genevieve, why
viral
aren't you
to
pumping
me.
out a viral post every week? Like, aren't you following the trends? Just put a Taylor Swift song on it.
Right,
You
I'm like,
know?
oh my god. And so I almost think it's probably something that is maybe not collectively agreed upon within social media, but outside of it, the conversations around the trending stuff and the viral stuff, and even the everybody wants to be able to like have that spicy brand voice,
Oh yeah, not
and
everybody is Wendy's though, right?
not everybody is Wendy's.
Yeah,
Deeply appreciate and admire Wendy's, but I
yeah.
am just not in that space to be able to bring the spice. So, I think some of that stuff where it's like, oh, just be able to do the trends, and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it's like you just have to recognize that some brands and some businesses just don't have the same
You gotta
leeway
be
for those
you.
things.
You gotta be you. Because if
Gotta
you
be
try to
you.
be not you, it gets really obvious and it gets mocked relentlessly online. So,
Painfully so.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. People do not hold back.
Oh yeah, no, hear me out. My wife mocks me for my LinkedIn almost every week. She's just like, "Who are you? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I'm being professional. It's a professional network."
It's professional me.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. What, like when you hear your
professional
spouse
aesthetic
on a
call.
work call and all of a sudden they go into their professional voice and you're like,
See,
who are
I call it
you?
customer service voice, right? Where it's
Yep.
like, for me, it's like if I'm not cussing, it's because I'm probably in that voice and tone. That's
Yeah.
my filter.
Of course.
Um, a last question.
Yeah.
Always like to ask, what's something people don't know about you, Genevieve?
Oh, that's a fun one. I feel like those who are near and dear to me
Hmm.
do know this, but from I would say a broader kind of professional realm, for
Sure.
the sake of this
For
podcast
the
here
sake of the
today.
professional context we're on right now.
Precisely,
Mm.
yes, our
Yes, yes, yes,
LinkedIn
yes.
profiles. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I would say a lot of people don't know. We'll go with two things. A lot of people don't know that I lived in a small beach town in Mexico for 3 years,
Wait,
and
which small beach town in Mexico?
I was in Sayulita.
What? That's pretty
Maybe
sick.
that maybe that can just be the one. Yeah, because that was yeah, just I hands down one of the best things ever. So much, so much love for that place and the people there. But
I
I
love
yeah,
that.
so I don't know, maybe we go. I feel like
Just go with that.
let's
Were you
just go with that
surfing? What are
one.
we doing here? Like, what's going on? I see Playa Sayulita. Like, are we getting into the mix a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I friends friends of mine from there would probably burst out laughing so hard right now. I didn't go the surf route. I have friends that were instructors, that were
Yeah, yeah,
professional
yeah.
surfers, tried to get me out. Honestly, if I had dedicated more time to saying like, "Ooh, this is really something I want to
Sure.
do," and what better place?
Right.
I mean, literally friends that are in like a professional circuit are there, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, I'm gonna do more of my beach life. I'm gonna
Okay.
like soak up the rays
Yeah.
and
We're
so
we're like
yeah,
sewing a bracelet out of like hemp thread or something. Like,
as one does, maybe
yeah.
I love a little watercolor, so
Okay.
we
Okay.
went that route. But yeah, I got to be like, I had a few days where I went out with friends, and anyone sitting on the beach, I'm sure, was like, this girl, like this,
She sucks. This guy
she's
sucks.
killed. Like they're literally doing everything for her. They're like pushing me into the wave, and they're like, all you have to do is pop up. I'm like, this is great, I've got it, I'm good. We're
So we can
bought the
training wheel
wetsuit,
surf.
wore
Yeah,
it
we can
once.
training wheel surf. Were you on a
We can
foam board then? You were definitely on a giant foam longboard.
Oh yeah, oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And I had friends that said, they were like, you're never going to be a shortboard girl. If anything, like, you're
No.
going to be longboard. You're
Yeah, you
more
got
of
the
the like
longboard vibes for
the
sure.
grace and style, right?
Yeah,
And so for a hot second, I thought like maybe I will go that route. And instead I was like, and we're done. And
we're done.
we're done. Yeah.
It takes
No.
one time of getting like washed up in a wave cycle to be like, this isn't for me.
Yeah. Yep. No, like I said, it was very yeah, I had the outfit down. I had the wetsuit
Yeah, get the three
and
millimeter suit. Fits perfect. Right, warm water in
and
Mexico anyway.
yeah, they were like, you're joking, right? I was like, it's chill.
I'm a
Yeah.
surfer.
Yeah. They were like, okay, so get your content
Love that. Love
and
that.
you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
done.
Take the pics, put it on the gram. Love it. That's a great fact. Love that one. As we wrap, I always try to be a good late night show host and give you the podium for a minute, Genevieve. Where can people find you? What should they know that's coming out next? Where can they find out about Goldfish? Sell your thing.
Yeah, I will say I mean, we were just discussing LinkedIn, so let's go the LinkedIn route.
Yep.
You can always find me there. That is one that probably need to do a profile pic upgrade, but sadly the wedding photos just didn't really feel like they could be used for that.
turns,
But
turn, turns out it's not the right vibe.
it's just not. It's easy for the guys, not so much for the girls. But
Oh yeah. Oh
at
yeah.
least in my instance, yeah. But so Genevieve Coulson on LinkedIn, you can always find me there. I do try to be pretty responsive and on that one as well. So I would say that's a really strong best bet. Goldfish Swim School, goodness knows we are all across our socials. So whether
Yep.
it is LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, really kind of whichever one is your jam, YouTube as well. If you look for Goldfish Swim School, you will find us there. And there is a
Beautiful.
very good likelihood that it is myself or someone from my team that will end up replying to you if
It
you
will be
send us a
monitored.
comment or a
Don't worry.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thanks so much, Genevieve. No, I really appreciated this. I think the conversation really diving into, your expertise around why authenticity, why local matters on the organic social side, super powerful stuff for everybody to hear. And I think love your input on the paid and social organic balance. Like I think that was also super useful. So thank you for being on today. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. I was, thrilled to be here. Appreciate you having me. And shocker, was a wildly enjoyable conversation.
Beautiful. I agree. And for everybody else, hopefully this wasn't just like enjoyable for us too. Hopefully
Yeah.
everybody listening, you guys also had a good time. And please do hit up Genevieve. Like I've touted, the team is great. What they've been doing is great. I was at a conference one time, and I think your CMO was running through one of your marketing guides. I was
That
just
sounds
like,
about right.
whoa, this is good stuff. So for everybody else, yeah, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Franchise. And please do find us for the next one, and we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.